In today's video, I am going to go over the stamping techniques in the new Memory Lane scrapbooking kit, as well as show you a companion page for the cover page that is part of the workshop kit. Hi, I'm Katie Taylor at scrappingkatie.com, where I show you how to preserve your family's memories through the art of scrapbooking. I have the brand new Memory Lane special in front of me. Now these are the layouts pre-designed in the workshop kit, but I'm going to walk you through those right quick, but I want to show you an alternative for this cover page. So I know a lot of you are double page, pardon me, two-page layout scrapbookers. Now, when I designed this, I designed it to have a cover page and then 3 two-page layouts. But if you wanted to add to this one's my favorite because of the angles. But if you wanted to add to this one, I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. But I wanted to walk you through some of the little details of this kit. So you can see here, the paper is just so adorable. So adorable. And you'll see that once we actually start walking through the cutting and the assembly process. And then the stamp set comes with a couple of houses, trees, sentiments, larger sentiments, but I've used them sparingly here. And then you can see that I've inked sage ink behind the house, and I'll show you how I colored that house in this video, as well as the tree. I'm not a huge fan of coloring, so I hope that these quick tips will help you. And then you can see the floral pieces, and then I've also used sage ink behind these little groupings. Now, one thing I did do on the flowers is I added liquid glass to the flower centers. So in this video, we're going to do the stamping and the coloring first, so those can be drying. So here's the cover page. Again, in this video, I'm going to show you a companion page for this one. And then here is layout 1. Aren't those florals just so pretty? And again, we brought the sponging of the sage ink onto this layout as well. And then here is layout 2. Now this one might look familiar if you are seeing all the advertisements of Close to My Heart. This is the one they used, and it has a photo of me and my husband on my birthday, and then some floral arrangements that our oldest son's fiance's mother, which also happens to be a Close to My Heart customer and friend of mine, she arranges gorgeous florals. So this is the one that you're seeing in the advertisements. But you can see here, again, I have the stamped, and then this is one of the sentiments from the stamps, or from the stamp set, and I just inked that up in sapphire and then fussy cut that out. And then here is the right layout of that. And then this one is meant to be your journaling, and I stamped so much actually on the White Daisy cardstock, and then this is stamped and then fussy cut out, much like the love on the left side, and then of course the floral. And then this workshop kit also comes with these wood grain florals as well that you can just sprinkle here and there. And then this is layout 3. So you can see there, again, I've used the houses because I did scrapbook their move and our visit up there to help them move into their new house. And then this would be an excellent place for a title, for a large title, either using your Cricut, maybe some die cuts, some metal dies, or some acrylic letters. And then we have some sticker stacking here. So you can see I've blended that sage ink, and then there is a sticker, and then the zip strip dovetailed and just tiny pieces of that, and then another sticker stacked on top of that with 3D foam tape. So that is a look at the workshop as intended, and I'm going to clear this off, and then we can get started on the companion page for this layout. I am going to bring out the back side of my Versamat to do my stamping because I need a few pieces of White Daisy cardstock. As far as the stamp set goes, I need the floral piece, both of the houses, and then there is a little sentiment that says this moment, and then of course the tree. So I'm going to be using Intense Black and Sapphire ink. The first one I'm going to do is ink up these floral pieces in the Intense Black, and I'm going to stamp that 4 times. And the reason I'm doing intense black is because I will be using some alcohol markers. As far as this moment, I am going to ink it up in black, and then I will do sapphire here in just a second because I'm really not sure which one I want to use. I also want to ink up that tree in the intense black, and I want to stamp it twice. So one, I am going to cut the swing off, and then the other one I am going to leave that tire swing on. So now we can use the sapphire ink, and I am using this ink for the houses. And I am going to go ahead and stamp that sentiment again because I'm really not sure which one I want to use. So as far as the houses go, I want to ink them up twice. And so there are two houses, one with 5 windows and then one with 2. So again, 2 each of those. We are going to color in 2 of them and then use the other 2 for some masking for the windows. I am going to turn the back side of the houses over. The first color I'm going to be using is melon, and I'm going to use second generation stamping. So that means I need to ink that stamp onto a scratch piece of paper and then onto my project, and that will give you a lighter version of that melon ink. I'm also going to pull out ballerina, and that will be the other house color. Again, peeling off the stamp from my block, turning it over, and using the back side. This ballerina is pretty faint, so you really won't use second generation. You can see there it just doesn't show. So I'm going to ink it up and go straight onto my project. And these are the 2 houses that we will end up fussy cutting and coloring. Now I'm done with my Versamat, and we can start our sponging. So one of the techniques in this workshop is using sage ink and a blending brush. And I'm just going to use that to color these trees. You definitely could use one of your alcohol markers. The dull green matches really good with this paper collection. And you can see here I'm also using that sage ink to color the leaves of the flowers. You could definitely use the same technique to color the back side of those houses. Now for the flowers, I am using golden yellow, burnt orange, coral blend, and pale pink. And then I am adding liquid glass to the center of those flowers just to give it a glossy look. So I will set those aside to dry while we assemble the layouts. As far as the tree goes, I am using red brown, the light and the mid to color those trunks, and then just black to color one of the tire swings. Now, as far as the eaves go on the house, the true blue shades is more accurate to the color of the sapphire cardstock that's in the collection. So if you have this marker, I would suggest using that one, and I'm going to use the mid color. It's really, really close to sapphire. And then I'm also going to be using that to color the windows on one of the houses. And then I'm going to use the mid color of the dull green on the other. And then the doors are using the coral, and then the doorknobs are that true blue shades. Now, as far as the windows go, I'm using the golden yellow, and I am just marking along the window panes, and then we will fussy cut those out and paper piece those on top of the houses. So I'm going to cut apart these houses, and then I'm going to show you a quick and easy way to do these window panes. So we're not using the door or the window sills. You'll just cut across the bottom, and then cut up, and then across the top, and then cut down on that left side, and then we can start cutting them apart. So again, since you're not using the door, you can cut across the top of those and then just cut them. Now, when you're paper piecing, you either want to cut right on the line or you want to cut right inside the line. And so now I am going to fussy cut the trees. And remember that one of them I'm going to keep the tire swing and the other I'm going to cut off. So when you're cutting rounded edges, you want to move the paper instead of your scissors, and it just gives a more organic feel to those rounded edges. So to paper piece the window panes, you're just going to apply some liquid adhesive on your windows, and then I'm using my pickup tool to just place those window panes on the house. Now, these window panes are pretty much similar, so it doesn't matter which window goes with which house. So I am trying to use scraps because I've already made these twice basically. So I am using, this would be, if you are following the workshop instructions, this would have been the scratch piece of paper left over. Here's a look at that. So this would be the scratch piece of paper left over. So this is what I'm using. So if this looks a little bit different than what's in your workshop, that is why. But that companion page that I'm about to show you definitely could be used for the one in the workshop. So this is the back side of that. And I am going to actually, the reason I'm using the back side is because I want this page to be the left and then my accompanying page to be the right. And so this green is going higher up on the page. And then you should have this little piece of that striped paper. It's like ombre on the back and a real pretty watercolor stripe on the front. So again, because I'm using scraps, I really can't use the measurements that are in the workshop, but the workshop explains exactly how to cut this. So I am just going to put a little tick mark right there and then bring out my paper cutter, and I'm going to line that tick mark up with this piece right here. And the reason being is I want that angle, much like the sage piece. So see, now we have those two angles. Now one thing you want to do to this sage piece is add some sapphire cardstock behind it. So I have a 1/2 inch and I have 3-inch piece and a 9-inch piece. These aren't really accurate as far as placement because whatever photos I put on here, it will hide that gap. But because you have a diagonal, it's larger than 12 by 12. So I am going to just run some adhesive along the back side of this sage pattern paper. And then when attaching this cardstock, I want to make sure I use the little piece up at the top, and I want to make sure that it hangs over this edge, so when I trim it, it will be even. So I've got that one, and then same thing with this one. I want to make sure that it hangs over the edge. And there's not quite 1/4 inch showing. So we've got that. And then I can just snip those edges off. And then the next thing that happens to this one is we have this real pretty scalloped piece. And I just used the scallops sparingly. So what I did was I cut a scallop from Collection. And again, it's a full 12-inch piece. And then I am going to fussy cut out the scallops. Okay, and we want to do the same thing. We want to cut like a 3-inch and then the rest. And this is going to get adhered directly on top and flush with the edge, and make sure that you're overhanging the scallop so when you cut them off, they'll be flush. Okay, so I have that prepared piece, and there is 2 3/4 inch from the top of the sapphire cardstock to the bottom of this corner. So when we go to adhere this down, we want to adhere this corner at 2 3/4. In fact, I'm going to bring out my Versamat because sometimes it's easier for you guys to see that. So again, 2 3/4 is where I am going to adhere this bottom corner. And now with the sage piece, and so you can see that you can't even see that break. Okay, so here is this. And then we are going to use some sage ink up here in this corner. And then right about here. Now most of this will be covered with those floral pieces. And then I also want to do just a treatment down here. It's going to be subtle. You're barely going to be able to see it. You can see it more on that back side of the pattern. So see right here, you can see it a little bit more on this side of the pattern, but I still wanted to add it. So I'm also giving you a couple of other options. Instead of a 5x7 that's listed in the workshop, you can see here that I am adding a 4x6 and a 4x4. And then I am going to add some 3D foam tape to the back of this house. Now this tree that I'm using is the one that I cut the tire swing off of. And so you just want to position your house where it kind of hides that little where the tire swing should have been. And then I'm going to fussy cut these flower pieces because the liquid glass in the center of those flowers is dry now. Just a quick reminder, when I fussy cut, I like to leave just a slight edge. It's a little more forgiving, especially when you're going around rounded edges. I also wanted to show you just how fast these flowers go. I know that a lot of you don't like to fussy cut, but you can see here, even though it is sped up, cutting around those really happens pretty fast. So I'm adding 3D foam tape to the layout base, and this is where one of those little flowers will go. And then I am going to use the word so much love. Now, so much is going to get inked up in sapphire ink and stamped directly on my layout. And then love actually has 3D foam tape on the back, and I will adhere that down. And that was just stamped on some White Daisy cardstock and fussy cut out as well. There will also be a flower up at the top over this 4x4 photo, and then I will pull out some stickers from the sticker sheet. So you can see that my sticker sheet pretty much is all used up. Again, I used it for the workshop as intended, but I definitely wanted to add some more stickers to this layout. So I'm just going to find a way or a place to have this little half circle, and then I am going to come back in with that tiny heart. This tiny heart is one of my little favorites from the stamp set. It's just something to just sprinkle around those little clusters, and I'm also going to bring that over to the right layout as well. So the workshop comes with the wood grain floral pieces, and I'm just adding liquid glass to the center of a few of those and adding those around those embellishment clusters. So I wanted to add some strip sentiments, but all my stickers are used up. So I noticed that the flower shop stickers match almost perfectly. So I've pulled out its sticker sheet, and I'm adding just a couple of those strip stickers down by that house, much like the layout in the workshop. And then we can start putting together the companion page. So on my companion pages, I like to bring over the same elements. So I have that sage cardstock. I did add some honey butter pattern paper, and then I will also bring out the sapphire cardstock and then that striped paper as well. Just making sure that I have it at the same orientation as the little diagonal piece on the left. And then again, I want to pull out that scalloped piece as well. Once you bring over the elements from one page to another, it makes it look really cohesive. So you can see how crooked this is. So I'm just going to trim this little end off and then straighten that up, and then I'll just have to put an embellishment where that breaks to hide that. This layout has a 4x6 and a 3x4. I am going to pull out my T-ruler to make sure those are straight. These lines on this pattern paper, they are stripes, but since they're watercolor, it kind of gives the illusion that things are straight. So I really wanted to make sure. I also want to add some of that sage ink with a blending brush on this right layout, again, just to add cohesiveness. So I'm adding that in 3 places, and then I will add 3D foam tape to hide that little cut that we did in the scalloped, peel away that backing, and then add one of those colored florals. This one's the pink because on the left, if you recall, the yellow one was up top. So I'm kind of just having your eye go down and across. And so I'm going to put the yellow florals right here. And then I am going to pull out This Moment. And I decided to go with the sapphire inked one. And I just cut a straight line above and below and then dovetailed the ends. And then again, bringing in that sweet little heart around these little clusters. Now, I did bring over that diagonal on this right layout, and then I am going to add the house, that other house we did, as well as the tree with the tire swing. I did decide to move it over slightly, so I'm just going to gently peel that up, move it over, and then that tire swing also has 3D foam tape, and I'm going to have it where it's just a little bit in front of the house, and then go ahead and add some more of those little melon hearts. I'm also going to bring over a sticker, much like I did on the left, and that is pretty much it. I did add some of those wood grain die cut flowers, and then of course that liquid glass adds to the center. Here is a look at those layouts. I will leave links down below to this wonderful, wonderful special. I pretty much think that it will sell out. It is so cute. I know that you guys will love it. And then I'll also leave links down below to my social media, so you can go check out my Instagram and see what these layouts look like with photos on them. Again, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment and a thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications so you won't miss another crafty video. Thanks and have a wonderful week.